Hey friends, welcome back to Crusty Cranks. Okay, I guess I should have probably did this video first because everybody's asking now, can I show them how to get the eyes to the Cricut? So this one's going to be about getting this video is going to be about getting the Cricut to cut out your eyes, how you go about all that with the print and cut method. Now I'm working out of Adobe Illustrator. I know a lot of you like to use Inkscape, which is a free program, and if enough people comment about it in the video comments, then maybe I'll do a version for Inkscape. Inkscape is not as stable on my Mac, and I use a lot of Adobe products anyway because I have a subscription to Adobe for work. So I just work out of Illustrator, but you know, there's a lot of videos out there on Inkscape and everything. So you know, if you want to do Inkscape and you're using Inkscape, then you know you can probably figure this out because everything's pretty much the same of what you do in Inkscape or Illustrator. It's just the tools that are a little different, and you know, they look a little different on the tool panel and things like that. But for the most part, you can do the same things in Inkscape. But I'm going to do mine in Illustrator because that's what I use, and that's what works for me. So one thing with the print and cut method, as you'll see on my screen, you only have a certain amount of area that you can cut. So this little outline here, and I can provide this if you're interested. You know, you can email me and I can send this to you. But this method, this print and cut method, only lets you cut within these boundaries. So you pretty much have this much space, and this is an 8.5 by 11 document, just like I would be printing it out on my printer, because that's what you're going to do, obviously. So you're going to be confined within these areas here. Now I have, I'm only using half sheets, and I've got my template set up to millimeters, and but this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet. So the first thing you want to do is figure out, you know, how much do you want to cut? Do I want to cut a full sheet of 8.5 by 11, or maybe just a half sheet? And it's important to know that because your Cricut's going to put on some black registration marks, and they have to fit on your paper. If you don't get those marks on your paper, then the Cricut's not going to know where to start and where to cut. And you'll see all that in a minute when we get going into the actual cutting part. So I'm going to use my phone, and I'm going to record you know, the printing and the cutting part, and then I'll splice these together and finalize the video and put it up for you. But we're going to talk about how we create the eyes. Now, I've found eyes. I have a stock photo. Actually have a stock photo account, and I was on there one day, and I like to work with vector files because with vector files you can select them, you can make changes to them and things like that. So all these eyes I've either picked up online on a stock photo account, or a lot of them I've kind of modified and created my own eyes. So I have a ton of eyes here, and I know you guys, I know that you guys that watch my videos know that I want to have basically looking down eyes. I like the eyes that look down. So all these eyes on here, well, all these eyes on here this is my file with just all my different kinds of eyes in here that I've either created or worked on. Now on these, like, you'll see that the objects are not perfect circles, so they're going to cut out on the Cricut just like that, whatever shape they are. So if you wanted some oddball eyes or some evil looking eyes or something like that, you can actually cut those out. Now how they fit on your bait, that's just according to whatever bait you're using, or what, you know, what if you're making your own, you can cut the eye size out to match it. But the Cricut will cut them whatever shape or size they are. So, but these are just some of the eyes. Now here I've got different types of red eyes just looking in different directions and stuff. But all these are vector files. Now if I wanted to take a photo of an eye and bring it in as a JPEG, and that'll work too. But let's cut these. Let's do these vectors, and then we can talk about how we get like photos of eyes and things like that in. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take and copy these vector paths, and you're going to paste them on your print and cut template. Okay, and so basically I'll take let's do let me find one here. Let's go with this top one right here. Now this particular eye, it doesn't matter, I can just copy one of them. So I'm going to use Command C, and then it's Control C on a PC to copy. And then I'm going to go over here to my template, and I always create layers, so that way I always have my guide, and I can lock my guide so that my template doesn't move. It always stays in the same spot, and I can turn it off and on, which you'll see in a minute. So I'm going to create a layer here, and I'll call this Cricut Eyes, or whatever. You can call it whatever you want. But I'll call this one Cricut. And I've already got a couple layers over here made up so that I can show you. But I'll take you through the whole process. So next I'm going to paste that eye. Now, these particular eyes are big. They're going to be way too big. Now, depending on what size you want your eyes to be, you'll need to size these up to accordingly. So let's say I want to work it with a 10 millimeter eye. We'll do 10 because it'll keep it big enough that you can see it on the screen. But you can go all the way down to, whatever eye size you want. So I'm going to go out here, and I'm going to do Option click, and I'm going to get a little dialogue here, and it's going to ask me what size, and I set mine up for millimeters because we're working in millimeters. So let's say I want a 10 millimeter eye. 10, and I'll come down here in 10 because I want it to be perfectly round. 10, and click OK. Now that's going to give me a little circle, and I'm just going to put a stroke around it, and I'm going to take the fill out of it, so it's just going to be a circle with no fill in it. Okay. I use that just to size my eye to whatever size. So say I want a 10 millimeter, I've got this 10 millimeter circle right here. I know that that's got to be, that eye's got to be fitting in this circle to make it a 10 millimeter eye. So I'm going to grab the eye, and I'm going to bring it over top like so, and I'm going to scale the eye down. And I hold my shift key down because I want it to be exactly perfectly round, and I'm just going to round that until it fits inside that circle. And that's going to give me my 10 millimeter eye. And this is important because once you get to the Cricut, you're going to see a couple things that you're going to have to do. So that's my 10 millimeter eye, and I'll zoom in on it so you can see it. Okay, so there's my 10 millimeter eye, and you can see it's not perfect, so I can just come in here and just size it up to fit inside that circle. So now I got a 10 millimeter eye. I'm going to move my outline out of the way because I don't need that, but I will need it here in a minute when I bring another eye in. Alright, so I'm going to take this up here, and let me get back down to where the top of it is. Alright, I'm going to move this eye up here in the top corner because I want to use, especially if you're using like holographic paper and some special paper, and I'll put a link to the papers that I use to make eyes. The link will be in the description. So I'm gonna copy this thing, and I want to get as many of them as I can. So let me zoom out one more time just so we can kind of see where we're at here. All right, and then I'm just gonna either copy and paste it, or you can hold down your Option key and drag a copy of it, and then I hold down my Shift key at the same time so my eye stays in line. All right, so now I got 2 eyes. Now what I like to do is I always like to do an even amount of numbers, so let's do as many as we can across here. Okay, so I'm going to select both of them, select both eyes, and you can always do that by either holding down the Shift key, or you just drag a what we call a marquee around it, and it selects both of them. Now, holding down my mouse click, hold my mouse button down, I'm going to hold my Option key, and I'm going to go all the way across and drag another set. Holding my Shift key, I keep it in line, just like so. Alright, and if I want to duplicate that same thing, I'm just going to do a Command D, Command D, Command D. Okay, and you can see I'm already out of my element over here, so we'll just do 6 on that row. Okay, so let me select all these, and I could move them closer, probably get another one in there, but I don't want to make them too tight. Alright, so there's a row right there. Now let me zoom out again, zoom back out so we can see the whole thing. Alright, so I'm going to take these 2 eyes, and I'm going to move them all the way over here, because I got this much space now that I can cut and add eyes. I can either copy these, but pretty much just copy and pasting and getting them all positioned where you want them, and fill up your sheet. And like I said, I like to keep them in line just because I think it helps to have less problems. So I'm going to copy another one over here, hold down my Shift key. Always hold down your Shift key, and it'll constrain it to a straight line position where you was before. Okay, so there's a row right there, and you're just going to continue doing that. Let's grab another eye. Let's go with this. Let's go with this dragon eye right here, or frog eye, or lizard eye, and I'll go up here and go copy. Go over here to my print and cut template, and then I'm going to do a paste, and you can see it's too big. I can bring my little circle back over here, and I can come over top of this, hold down my Shift key because I want to keep it constrained to a complete circle, good circle. Make it fit. And as long as it's within that black circle, perfect, you're gonna be good. Because we're gonna have to scale it again anyway. Alright, so now we got another eye. We can start right here, move my circle out, my guide out of the way. Alright, and actually a lot of times I'll put my little guide here, I'll use that on my print and cut layer. If you look over here onto the right, you can see I got different layers. So when you build up your eyes, you can just create them on different layers and just keep your template. I have my template on one layer of its own, so when I get ready to print it, I can turn it off because you don't want that to show up. So I'm going to move this down and put this little circle on my print and cut template. Oh, it's locked, so I can't. So I'm going to move it down on my print and cut template. So when I turn it off, I'll make sure that it doesn't print on anything. So there, it's gone. Okay, so you're just going to continue on going down and filling up your sheet with whatever eyes. If you want to do the same eye, you just fill a whole sheet of them. If you want to do different eyes, you can. And so I'm going to turn that layer off, and I'll turn this one on, and you can see I've got a row of eyes here, and then here's another one that I've got a bunch of eyes. So you can pretty much lay out your eyes however you want. Now, I did put me a halfway point line on my sheet. Since it's 11, I put it at 5.5, just a guideline in here, just so I can I know where my half mark's going to be. I could actually get probably one more row in there, but remember, you're going to print this thing's going to print guide marks all the way around, so you want to make sure that you leave enough room, because if you go ahead and cut your piece out and you don't have the guide marks on there, it's not going to cut it right. So it's very important to remember. And you can't see where the guide marks are, but I can tell you that they're going to be pretty much right in this area right here, where this little corner piece is going to be one, this corner piece is going to be one, and then it's going to put another one down here underneath wherever you're printing your images stop. So it's going to put a little guide marks on them called register marks. So that's pretty much it. That's how I get my eyes, and that's how I get them to ready to cut out. Okay. So really just taking your time and learning how to use your vector programs, you can pretty much do all kinds of editing to these things. And I don't want to spend a lot of time doing that, because that's pretty much going to take up for a long video. But anyways, you can do all kinds of different things with them. Put different gradients in there, pretty much create your own eyes however you like. You can create different shapes, different patterns. So that's pretty much how I do all my eyes. And I've got a ton of these things that I've made up and created and stuff. But I don't know, if you email me, I might give out some of them. I'm not going to give out all of them, but if you're interested in doing some and you want to get maybe a few eyes to start with, where you can start building your own. But yeah, that's pretty much what you're going to come up with. So now we need to get this file ready to go to the Cricut. Okay, and in order to do that, we have to create a PNG file, which is a transparent background. We want to make sure we have a transparent background so that it shows up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn off my layer here, which has my guide marks on it. I'm going to hide that, and what I'm going to do is go down here and I'm going to do a save. First, I'm going to save it. And I just got mine called print and cut template. Then I'm going to do a save as. And it's going to ask me where I want to put it. And I usually put it on my desktop just because I want to, find it real easy, and then I can copy it and store it wherever. So for the sake of this video, we're just going to do, I'm sorry. I want to go up and export. I'm doing export as, and I want a PNG file, .png. And we'll call this video PNG. And I'm going to export it. Now, when it comes up, at least in Illustrator, now, like I said, I haven't worked in Inkscape too much, but my resolution is going to be 300 dpi or ppi. pixels per inch. I wanted a high resolution because if I send it over to my Cricut at a 72 or lower, like the screen image or even medium, it's going to print out real choppy. It's going to be real pixelated. So I want to make sure that I send it out of here in a high resolution file. And you can see right here on my background, it's saying transparent. So I know I'm only going to get the eyes, and they're all going to be in position right here in my file. So I'm going to do OK, and it's saved. All right. So I'm going to pause this for a second, get the Cricut set up, get my template material cut, and I'll take you over to the, well, first we'll go into the Cricut software, and then I'll take you over to the printer. Okay, so now we're going to bring our PNG in, and remember we did this at 300 DPI, so it would be high resolution, but when we bring it in here, it's going to be way larger. So we're going to have to scale it down, which will still make it print better. So we're going to have to give us some kind of a guide so we can make sure that we get it to 10 millimeter eye. All right, so we're going to go over here to our shapes, and we're going to get a circle. And I've got my settings set to metric system, so you can change that in your settings on your Cricut Design Space settings. Just go to Canvas and your settings, and you can change it to, okay, so you can change it to centimeters or inches back and forth. So we're going to do a 10 millimeter, so 10 millimeter is 1 centimeter. All right, and if you were doing it to like a 6 millimeter eye, just do like a 0.6, all right, or a 0.5 if you want a 5 millimeter eye. But we want we're doing the 10 millimeter eye on this one. So I'm going to go up here to where it says size, and I'm just going to put a 1, and then you can put a 1 here, but if the lock button is on, you lock the proportions, it'll stay uniform. So now we got a 1 centimeter eye right here. All right, so we're gonna zoom in on this to make it a little easier for you to see on camera. And then we're going to leave it black for now because we're going to delete it once we get our size. All right, so now we're going to go to upload, and we're going to go to image, upload image, and we're going to browse, and I've got it on my desktop, so I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to select videoi.png. That's my file. So there's my file right there. And then the next step is go to continue, and then it's going to outline these for you, and that's where your cut's going to be. But when you resize it, it'll modify this cut too. So we're going to say apply and continue, and we're going to get 3 different little options here. Now the multiple layers one is new. I haven't played around with that yet, and it's something you have to pay for. But really all I need is the flat graphic. So I'm going to select flat graphic, and then I'm going to hit continue, and then upload. All right, so it's going to bring it in for me, and you can see how huge it is. All right, and that's because we have the 300 DPI resolution image. All right, so we need to make one of these eyes fit that little black circle. All right, so once we do that, we're just going to drag that corner right there. We're going to scale this thing down. I'm going to scale it down, which will still give me a higher resolution because the whole file itself is in DPI 300, but we're scaling it down, and that'll keep it kind of sharp still. It's good enough anyway. But basically you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to size this up to make it exactly 10 millimeters. And I'll bring this just until I cover that black dot. Alright, and that's what we got right there. That's going to work fine. Alright, So now we know all of our eyes are 10 millimeters. All right, next we're going to go over here and we're just going to delete this little circle because we don't need it. So if you want to zoom in on it real far, you can zoom in on it, and just to make sure you got everything the right size. And like I said, it looks good enough. So now it's going to cut these eyes out exactly at the size that we have this image right here. All right, it's a little extra step, but it does get me down. And then I can use this same file to create a 5 millimeter, a 6 millimeter, a 7 millimeter, whatever you want. You just have to draw your little circle as a guide and get it exactly the same. And or you can just do one eye. If you did an image of one eye and you just copied and duplicated and pasted it, once you got that one eye down to the right size, you could basically just duplicate it and have a whole, until you have a whole sheet of it. So you can do one eye in here, but I like to do different patterns on one little piece of film. But if you want to do them all, so you can do them all like that. So let's go over here, and then we're going to just turn that off. Okay, you can turn it off or you can delete it, either whatever you want to do. Just hit the trash button. All right, so let me zoom back out on this so we can see the whole thing again. And there we are. All right, now doesn't matter where I have it on the sheet here. When I go to make it, it's going to position it on the print and cut, but it makes sure that by using the print and cut template, I can make sure that I've got it fitting inside the cutting area. All right, so next we're going to do make, and it's probably going to ask me if I want to save this. So I'm just going to go to save, and I'll save it in my backgrounds. That's where I usually save things other than stencils. Some backgrounds, and I'll call this the 10 millimeter frog eye, and save. All right, now it's going to take me to this next page, and you can see here that it's got it within the guidelines of the print and cut. So you can kind of move this, and since I already know that I have it it'll fit within the template, I'm going to move it up into here so I can use a half a sheet. I always like to use sometimes just a half a sheet. That way if it messes up or whatever, I don't waste a whole sheet. So got that positioned in position now. You can also rotate it from here, do whatever you want. So my next step is going to be continue, and it's going to take me to my print. So I got to print it first. All right, so I'm going to send this to printer, and it's going to give me this little thing telling me that the sensor marks have been added on. All right, and that's fine. No warnings or anything. So I'm going to hit next, and then it's going to bring up my printer. Now, all printers are going to be different, so it just depends on what type of printer you're using. I'm using a DeskJet, HP DeskJet 2600, but I want to make sure that I'm printing the best, and because I'm on a nice glossy sticker paper, I want to make sure that I get the gloss. So I got to do print, and it's going to go ahead and print. Now you can check that out, or I'll show you another way. If you know your printer's already printing on the right settings, you can just print it there. But I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go back to printed, and I'm going to send a printer again, and I'm going to go next, and I'm going to turn on the use system dialog. So this is going to be important if you want a real high resolution. If you got a really nice printer that prints really nice and sharp, this is what you're going to want to do. So now when I go to print, it's going to be waiting for me to get to the system dialog, and my system dialog always shows up underneath. So I'm going to move this out of the way for a minute. All right, and then my system dialog comes here. So go to your presets, and this might look different. Your system dialog might look different. I've got mine presets on color and fine, And then when you go to media quality down here, you can choose what kind of paper you have. So I've got photo glossy paper, and that's the one I'm going to select, and then I'm going to hit print. So I'm going to, I already printed one. It's going to be fine, so I'm going to cancel out of this. But I did want to show you, if you use a system dialog for your printer, then it will get you, you can get the best print. And depends on what paper you're printing on, but most of the time you're going to print on, you want to print on a glossy or a holographic paper or something like that. So I already printed mine, so I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to come back over here and just going to hit done. All right. Now, the next setting, we're going to mount it on our board, but we need to go to our settings. Now, inside Cricut, you can go to this browse all materials, and in here you're going to have all kinds of different materials that you can cut. If you didn't know this already about your printer or about your Cricut, you have all these different types of materials that you can cut in here. Now, the one that worked for me the best, and you'll play around with it, which is why I suggest, only cutting a half a paper, a half a sheet, so you don't waste it. But I didn't pre-make any of these. They're already should be in your Cricut software. And if you want us to show up over here every time, you just click this little bookmark thing right here and make it green. And then that way, every time that you go to do the cut, that material will show up in there. Okay, so I've already got mine, and I'm going to use sticker paper removable. All right, so then it's going to take me to this window, and this is where you're going to load your tool and load your material in, your mat. So I'm going to do that, get it ready, and then I will take you over to the Cricut and we'll cut these out. Okay, got her all taped down. I always like to put a couple pieces of tape on just to hold it, just to make sure it don't come loose. And I'd use an old mat, so in case it cuts through or something happens, after you cut on them a while, you end up start getting cuts in your mat. So I just keep my old ones for when I'm cutting stuff, but we're ready to go. So I got it here, just hit my button, feed it in. And get it started. It's reading the marks right now. Those black marks are registration marks. It tells it where the cutting positions are. So it's reading those corners. Okay, see, not very slow, not too fast, but not too slow, but at least I don't have to punch them out with a punch. All right, I'm going to take it over to the table and where we got a little better lighting, and we'll peel them out. Okay, we're over here at the workbench, and I was going to show you how I peeled these out to show you that they worked good. But in the actually this is the second time I've recorded this, because the first time I forgot to actually didn't record it. I didn't hit the start button on the camera, so we didn't record it, but that's okay. It gave me a minute to tell you about this. So if you're doing holographic paper, one thing you're going to have to do to get the sensors to recognize the holographic, the register marks, is you have to put Scotch tape over these marks. And normally I like the frosted Scotch tape, but I just used regular Scotch tape and it worked also. If you try to cut this out and you get an error, it's because that the sensor can't read that little black mark on there. I guess because of the way you can see in the camera how it's reflective and it changes colors and everything. So I think it tricks the sensor. So a little trick I found, and actually I got this off of someone else who does holographic stencils or stickers. You put the Scotch tape over the X's, or over the cross register marks, the corner register marks, and if you do that, then it lets the sensor read it, and then you can cut it out. So I went on and did one just to show you, because it was driving me crazy why I couldn't cut these out. But yeah, put the Scotch tape over it, and like I said, the frosted works best, but I used what I had. It's just transparent Scotch tape, and you only have to cover over that. Actually got some on the eyes right there, so those probably won't be worth any good. Once I peel that off, it's probably going to peel the ink off of it. But, and the other thing is, once it comes out of the printer, let it dry for a few, because if you don't, it's probably going to smear on you. And when you get the paper, make sure you get the kind you can print on. Same way, especially with the holographic, because I tried some from the Cricut brand, and it didn't print right. So if you get the holographic, and I'll put links in the description to all the papers that I use, and that way you can get the same kind. But yeah, that's what you got to do. And even if you have an off-color paper, they suggest you do it on white, but you know, if you want to try different papers and it's not registering, it's not seeing it, then try to put the Scotch tape. And you only got to put it over the marks. You don't have to worry about covering up your images or anything. So once it reads the sensors, that's all it does, is reads the sensors, and then it cuts them based on where they're positioned. So, and then if you want to do multiples of them, you know, a bunch of them, maybe you want to print some more sheets, after you're done, if you forgot to maybe say 3 copies or whatever, you can always go back to the very beginning. You don't have to go back and redo everything. If you go back to where you're set your paper type to cut out on your Cricut, where we selected stickers, just above it says printed, but if you click on that, it'll let you print again. Now the other thing I haven't tried, which I'm going to try eventually, is taking a printed sheet and making copies of it, because like a lot of this burns up, you know, it burns up your ink cartridges. But I mean, doing the eyes doesn't use that much ink. But yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I apologize, I should have did this video first, and after I did the video, everybody was wanting to know how to make the eyes itself. So I was like, well, I should have did that video first, but you know, hindsight's 20/20, and I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and make this video so everybody can learn how to make the eyes. Now, if you're a subscriber to the channel and you send me an email, admin@crustycranks.com, and I'll put it up on the screen, and tell me you're a subscriber, and either tell me you're a subscriber and you'd like to have the eyes. I'll send you my template with some eyes on it. I'm not going to give you all my eyes, but I'll give you some that you can start with, and then you can make your own eyes, because I have literally, I'm going to say probably about 500 different styles of eyes that I did just one day playing around with sort of creating eyes. And again, you can do these whatever size you want. And once you got it saved on your Cricut, you can go back and just open it back up in Cricut. You don't have to do any of the sizing stuff. You only got to do that once per size and save it, and then you can just go back. I can go back and just print these again and cut more if I need to. I don't have to go through the whole Illustrator part and making the little guide and resizing them and all that. But yeah, lost one somewhere. Oh, yep, he's stuck to the back right there. He's probably no good. But anyway, oh, we maybe save him. Anyway, if you subscribe to the channel, tell me you're a subscriber, you love my channel, or tell me that you don't love my channel but you subscribed anyway. I'll send you a file that you can get started in. Just let me know what you're using. If you're using Inkscape, I'll save it in Inkscape. If you're using Illustrator, I'll give you an Illustrator file. Just tell me what you want, I'll give it to you. And yeah, I appreciate everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got a lot out of it. And I'm sorry if it's a little long. I get long-winded sometimes, but I hate to leave out information. I want everybody to have all the right information if you're trying to do these on your own. If you haven't seen the first video, go back. It'll be at the end of the video. Click on that, and you'll see actually how to put the epoxy on it and what I do with some of these eyes. But I appreciate you guys, all your subscribers. I'm trying to get to 4,000 and then 5,000. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Ring that notification bell so you get notified. Give me a thumbs up, and that all helps the channel, and I really appreciate it. YouTube says only 70% of my subscribers have not subscribed. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Helps the channel grow, and I appreciate it. I can keep making more content. And I got another painting video getting ready to come out, finishing it up right now. And also I got some big news coming out about something special for all the subscribers that I think you'll enjoy if you're really into it and you want to get a lot more content. But I appreciate all you guys, and remember, stay crusty, my friends.